everyone, welcome back to A Perspective. This is MJ speaking, and thank you so much for coming back to tune into the podcast once again today. Thank you so much for coming back to tune in, you guys. I am so excited to be behind the mic again today and to be recording a solo episode for what feels like the first time in a while. I am so excited to be here talking to you guys. I've missed this so much. Hopefully you guys checked out the previous conversation I did with Micah Jones on the last episode, and if you haven't, you're definitely going to go want to check it out because it was a very insightful and transformative conversation. But it's just me today, and I am super duper excited to get to talk to you guys today about something that I've been thinking about a lot, which we will dive into. But before we get into it, I actually really want to share something that happened about an hour ago before I sat down to record this episode. And because I feel like it carries a good message. So, for one of my classes at school, I'm in kinesiology. So, one of my classes requires that the students do a practicum placement as part of our credit for the course. And what this practicum placement entails is that we find a sports team at school or in the community that we have to work with as what is called a student first aider. So in this course, we are learning how to do a lot of first aid help, such as taping ankles, applying braces, bandaging up wounds, doing CPR if absolutely needed. So part of the thing that we have to do to fulfill our credit for the course is to go and find a sports team where we can either sit on the sideline during a game and make sure that anybody who gets injured has us to attend to them in that moment, or if at practice an athlete is training and gets injured, then we can go in and do our thing, right? So it's really cool. And my professor let us know at the beginning of last week when the semester started that there would be a list coming out with some sports teams that students have attended in the past, and she kind of listed off a few just off the top of her head. And I decided to kind of go my own route and find a sports team in the community that I wanted to work with, because I decided that I really wanted to work with young kids because I love working with young children. I've worked in recreation and done summer camps for as long as like pretty much my entire teenage life. I'm not a teenager anymore, but in those years I worked a lot with kids and very closely with them as such, and I absolutely love it, and I absolutely love having that and developing that close-knit relationship with children because I feel like it can be so influential. So I reached out to a gymnastics organization here in the community because some of you may not know this about me, but I actually did gymnastics for 7 years, from when I was about 7 to 14 years old, and I was on Team BC. It was artistic gymnastics. Like I carried on for a really long time, and I absolutely loved my time in gymnastics when I was in it. So I decided to reach out to a gymnastics club, and I sent an email to the head coach of the organization last week, and pitched myself, I think, pretty well. If I'm tooting my own horn here, I just described what the practicum placement entailed, what my duties were supposed to be, and I also, of course, spoke to my experience as a previous gymnast and my experience in coaching young children in gymnastics at the recreational level. And he invited me to come in and have an in-person chat today, which is what happened about, like I said, an hour ago before I sat down to record this episode. And I went in, and the coach was kind of asking me what my history was with gymnastics, who my coach was on the mainland, because I'm in Victoria now, in Vancouver Island now, and I'm originally from Vancouver. And turns out he knew my coach. Turns out he knew the club I went to, and he was asking me about some of the most difficult skills that I performed when I was a gymnast competing, and they were of a high difficulty, and he really liked that, and so he offered me a job as a coach there at the club today, which is insane because I have been looking for a job the last couple weeks, gearing up to coming back to school. And now this job is serving as not only a way to make income for myself, but also as my practicum placement. So I'm killing two birds with one stone, which is just incredible. And what I wanted to kind of get at with the story is that I've never been somebody who likes to pitch myself because I don't like coming off as really cocky or like I'm putting myself on a pedestal to whoever I'm pitching myself to, right? But as time has progressed, I've realized that it is a skill and it is a must if you are expecting to stand out above other people when you're applying for a position, whether it's a job or volunteer position, or whether you are trying to pitch an idea to somebody or trying to find a research position, whatever it is, you need to be willing to make yourself look like the best candidate in the room. And that does not mean that you have to do it in a cocky manner, but I feel like I was humble and I spoke honestly about my experience and I elicited enthusiasm in the email. And today I went to the meeting very prepared with to answer his questions and to speak to what my expectations were and what I was hoping to gain from the experience. And not only that, but I've been really thinking about working with children the last couple months. Like I've always been really drawn to pediatrics and pedagogy and childhood pedagogy specifically, and I think that when I become a doctor, I wanna go into pediatrics, so this opportunity just came at, like, the perfect time, and my intuition is telling me to go for it, and so I took the position, and I guess the moral of that I wanted to share with the story is that sometimes you just gotta go for it, and when you pitch yourself fearlessly, shamelessly, because you are confident in your abilities and what you're capable of doing, even though you might not even know what you're going into, even if it's something that you've never tried before. If you are confident in yourself that you are adaptable and that you can, people are going to see that and speak to that directly. And they're going to give you the opportunity if you show that you're willing to take it on, regardless of what that opportunity entails. So I wanted to share that highlight of the day for you guys because I thought it was so cool. And I am to say excited would be an understatement. So that's currently what's going on in my life, aside from going back to school full time, which is also great. I've missed the in-person life so much since COVID, and I'm excited for what's to come. So before we get into the actual content of the episode, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that I am tuning in from the land of the Lekwungen speaking peoples, as well as the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanic nations, whose historical relationship with the land stands to this day. And once again, I am eternally grateful to be able to be an uninvited visitor and settler here, to be attending university here, to be working here, to be living here. And I look forward to continuing to give these territorial acknowledgements and to express my gratitude and to continue shedding light on these topics of conversation to better serve the individuals impacted. Okay, now for the actual content of the episode. This is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I actually posted some stories on this a couple of weeks ago, and some of you expressed that you really wanted me to record an episode on it. So here I am. It's been a while. It took me a while to really kind of think about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. If I'm being fully honest, last night at like 9:30 p.m., I sat behind the microphone and recorded what I thought would have been the episode that would have been released later this week on this exact same topic. But listening back to it, I don't think that it was very genuine. And I think that I still really struggle with expressing my opinion in a shameless way. And of course, when you're expecting your opinion on a public platform such as this one, there's always a chance that people are going to tear it down and beat you up for it and lash back at you for it because they may or may not agree, right? But I want to preface this episode just as I've prefaced pretty much every other episode before this by saying that this is my personal opinion. This is MJ's perspective on this subject matter, and my intention is not to try to sit here and convince you that my opinion is the right one or that yours is wrong necessarily. I'm simply here to open up conversation, to challenge popular notions, to challenge perhaps your thought belief, to challenge my own. It's a personal diary what I'm trying to kind of get at with some of these solo episodes, right? I'm expressing an opinion that I have and want to share with the world in order to hopefully create conversation around it and hopefully to educate myself further and further shape my perspective. So please don't listen to this episode feeling like I am trying to shove an idea down your throat or that you need to reconsider everything you know about the topic that I'm going to be talking about today. That's not at all the case. I'm simply here to open up a door to a different avenue within this conversation, this topic of conversation, and to hopefully get your take on it and see what you think, if you agree, disagree, or Maybe you're in the same place. I don't know. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, today's episode is about the current thoughts, emotions, and opinions that I have been developing over the last couple months about the wellness space on Instagram, what it is, what it has turned into, what wellness is starting to mean, or the definitions that are associated with wellness, and a particular trend that was circulating in the media recently that really influenced these visions of mine. And what I've kind of learned over the last couple months based on what I've been seeing online periodically. So, I kind of want to start with a little backstory about my experience on Instagram within, I guess, the wellness space, and how my experience kind of shaped the development of my views to what they are today. So, I started the account that most of you know as at Mariana's Perspective on Instagram in March of 2021. So in March of this year, it's been a couple months. And I began this account. Some of you listened to my old episode with Micah, you kind of know a little bit of the backstory around my relationship with it. But I initially started this account with the idea that I was going into the wellness community and I wanted to become what is known today as a quote unquote wellness influencer. Now, I had followed wellness influencers on my Instagram prior to starting at Mariana's Perspective. And so I kind of had an idea of what people were looking for, what the kind of consumer mentality was, and what I wanted to share about how I practice wellness in my own life. So I began the account, started off slow, started sharing a little bit here and there about my day, my routine, whatever, right? Very quickly, I found myself feeling very, I guess, left out of the space and very much not fitting in because my account, you could say, I guess, this is my personal opinion on my account, does not at all fit the common ideal of traditional, popular, quote unquote, wellness influencer accounts. I don't have the white aesthetic. I don't share aesthetic pictures of my food or what I'm wearing or my fitness apparel or my hot girl walks. Like it's not at all under that notion. So in turn, in an attempt to continue getting an audience and to prove to people that I was practicing wellness and that's what I wanted to share on this online space, I very quickly began morphing my content into what I perceived that people wanted to see from somebody who was trying to influence wellness, quote unquote. So I started taking way more pictures and videos of my coffee, and I still do because sometimes you guys like I not to toot my own horn or anything, but I kill the foam. I kill the foam on my coffee, and I feel I need to share it once in a while because it's really pretty sometimes. I can't help myself. But I started taking more videos of that, and I journal, not every morning, and I don't even journal that often, to be honest. It's once in a blue moon kind of thing for me when I really, really feel like I need it. But then I suddenly started feeling the need to do it more because this is what I was seeing online as this is wellness, like journaling every morning, right? So it got to the point where I would like go on Pinterest and find a quote right at the top of my journal page in my journal and then take a picture of that before I even started journaling anything and post it on my story. Like it very quickly became this game of I have something to prove to people. I need to prove to people that I am a wellness influencer or that I am practicing wellness by documenting everything in my day that falls under the umbrella of quote unquote wellness or what wellness has come to be defined, which we will talk about in a second. So, as you can see, very quickly, the relationship and the kind of vision that I had going into this space with became very unhealthy. I like couldn't stay off of Instagram. I was like so obsessed with my insights and my stats, and and like looking at what kinds of videos in the wellness community were trending the most so that I can maybe make one of my own and see if that struck a bell. Like, but nothing felt authentic to me. And very quickly, I found myself experiencing what some of you in psychology, if you've ever taken a psychology course, might know as cognitive dissonance. And what cognitive dissonance is when your outward actions don't match your inner beliefs. And because these two are misaligned, you are in a constant state of discomfort with yourself at a, I guess, spiritual level or an inward level. And until you work to align the two, your actions and your beliefs, you will permanently be in the state of discomfort because your persona that you are inwards is not matching the person that you are showcasing to others externally. And I am someone that puts the principle of integrity and authenticity on a pedestal. It has probably become in the last year the thing I strive to do the most in my day. The person I strive to be the most in my day is somebody who lives with utmost integrity. And when I found myself doing things that were very not me and things that I would not normally practice as my wellness practice, I was like where did I go? Like why do I feel such a need to do all these things to prove to everybody and maybe to myself, I don't even know what I was trying to do, but that I am practicing wellness if this isn't what wellness means to me, right? So, my intention in saying that is not at all to bash anybody who journals or who drinks matcha or who shares their fitness apparel. Like, I don't drink matcha. You guys have heard me say it on here before. I just haven't found I haven't tasted matcha that doesn't taste like grass ever. And so I can't bring myself to like it, but like I said, I don't drink matcha. I occasionally journal. I do wake up early in the mornings. I do work out, but a lot of the things that have fallen under the umbrella of what wellness has come to be defined are not me or not things that I do in my day. I have actually received from a lot of people that my lifestyle is not at all balanced. Like I am somebody who juggles a million things at once because ambition is my best, I think is my best quality, but also is my biggest weakness because I just put a million things on my plate before I even know what's going on in like the next week, and the next thing I know I am super overwhelmed because I just wanted to do a million things and now I have a million things to do and zero time to do them. So, I don't consider myself someone that has a particularly balanced lifestyle, and all the time, I should say all the time because sometimes it's better than others, but that is just how I live my life, and I'm somebody who's out and about, and I'm very happy with that lifestyle as it stands right now. And I quickly found myself not feeling like I could share that with the world because I didn't fit the traditional notion of wellness that we're seeing everywhere right now. So, to kind of highlight, I think I've briefly done it already on the episode already, but to kind of highlight what some of those, we'll call it like a checklist, the wellness checklist of things you need to fulfill in order to be considered somebody that's practicing wellness. So, common ideals are that you wake up early, you spend 1 to 2 hours on yourself in the mornings, working out, doing yoga, going on hot girl walks, journaling, drinking matcha, skincare routines, meditation, and reading. And these are of a few, but I would say in my experience and from what I've been seeing online, these are kind of the key kind of checklist items. Like if you do all of these or close to all of these in your morning routine or in a day, you are practicing wellness, right? And I do a lot of these things, as I mentioned already. I do read when I can. I journal seldom, but I do. I wake up early. I work out almost every single morning. It's just like I guess I do in some ways in the traditional notion fit the wellness ideal. However, I fit these ideals in my own way that to some people might be perceived as healthy and to others may not, right? So, what I want to get at with this conversation, my intention behind this podcast episode today is to say that why have we created this checklist and this step by step formula of what wellness means or what you need to do to be well and to practice wellness, when in reality, the wellness journey and the wellness experience and the journey towards self betterment and self love is so individual that nobody can copy your way of doing it, because seldom will it work exactly for them as it has for you. So, what really sparked this thought process for me was seeing, I don't know how many of you saw this on, it kind of blew up on TikTok, and it was a little bit on Instagram, a little bit on YouTube as well. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's called the that girl trend. And it was going around mostly in the summer, just because I guess the hot girl summer trend as well. It just coincided that they fit right alongside each other. So for those of you that don't know, that girl trend was a trend. I don't know if it's still really going around. I haven't really seen it, but we'll say is a trend in which people online are trying to become quote unquote that girl. That girl is someone who does everything that I just listed for you prior to getting to here. So she wakes up early, spends a ton of time on herself in the morning, does yoga, meditates, reads, journals, makes her matcha, does all those things in order to be like, that is what that girl does. That girl, if she does all these things, she is practicing wellness and she is healthy and she is mentally and spiritually and emotionally well, right? So I started seeing all these vlogs of people documenting their process. Some people were just starting out, some people were already in the, I even saw like guides on YouTube how to become that girl. And I'm never someone who discourages people from documenting their process, because I feel like it's so important that you document the hard times, the good times, so that when you get to your goal that you were working hard to achieve, you can look back and say, damn, like I went through all of this to get where I am today. And I'm so proud for the highs and the lows, right? But at one point, similar to my experience, it becomes this game of I am documenting this to prove something to people instead of proving to myself that I can get myself to a place of wellness, right? And the problem with that is that the only person that you need to be worried about being proof for is for yourself. You need to be your own proof that you can work hard, that you can be dedicated to yourself and your routine and the things you need to do to get to where you want to go, right? As an aside, you know, it killed me to see this online, because so many people that were actively following this trend were people that were just starting out on, I guess, their wellness journey or their journey towards self-betterment or towards becoming their ideal self, right? So now you have these people who are new, maybe haven't really defined what wellness means for them, haven't defined what and how they want to get to where they want to be is yet, and now they are being given this list of, these are your to-dos that you got to do in order to be considered well, and this how you got to do them in order to be considered well as well. So it killed me, because now people are going online and thinking that wellness is this one definition that is all encompassing. And as long as you do all those things under the wellness umbrella that is defined online, you are well. Anything else isn't really considered wellness, or is kind of abstract to that notion of wellness. Like, it's, why would we want to see a society in which everybody is following one definition of how to do something that is so personal and individual? Why would we want that uniformity in society? Because at one point it's not genuine anymore. It's not genuine to you. And if you are following a checklist of things to do and just kind of going through the motions, for the sake of fulfilling them, for the sake of calling yourself well and healed and bettered, it's like it's doing nothing for you. And my question is, what happens when you become that girl? Will you be happy? Because I can tell you that when you achieve that status of becoming quote unquote that girl, you will only resent yourself for morphing yourself into an idea that was created by somebody else about what wellness is, instead of creating your own version of what wellness means to you. And you will be so much further from where you actually wanted to be at the start of your journey that you're going to have to work even harder to get back down to the bottom so you can create and rebuild your path all the way up back to the top, what your top is to you on your journey. Additionally, the journey towards self-betterment and healing and self-love isn't this status that you just achieve one day. It is a 24/7 full-time job. Self-betterment is a 24/7 full-time job that you have to dedicate endless time and effort and pain and blood and sweat and tears to. And I don't say this to discourage anybody from starting on this journey if it's something that you're looking to do or if you're already on it and maybe you're feeling a little bit lost. It is completely okay to feel lost. And sometimes when you feel lost, that's okay because it means that you've been trying something for an extended period of time and it's not working for you anymore. But we need to normalize the highs and the lows that come with finding yourself and becoming the version of yourself that you want to be. I feel that this definition of wellness and that girl that are being perpetuated online are painting wellness, like I said already, to be this step-by-step thing that you got to do. And then once you do all those things, then you're good. And it's not at all like that. It is a lifelong process. And as soon as you feel like you've gotten better and that you've discovered a lot about yourself and that you've opened up a ton of doors for yourself, you're going to hit a high and you're going to be there for a little bit. You're going to be really happy and really proud of yourself. And I guarantee you, right after that, you're going to hit a low that is going to be even lower than your previous low. And it's going to take you even further to climb back up to the top, but it's going to be an even higher top than the top you had before. And it's just, we need to normalize the pain that comes with the wellness journey. And again, I don't say that so as to discourage anybody who is on this journey, currently about to begin this journey, wherever you are right now, but I say it because so much of the journey towards self-healing and self-love is about doing the inward work first before you can manifest it externally. And that's another thing that I feel like I've come to really disagree with is that, everybody's showing the external of what their wellness journey is, right? Like everybody's showing the workout fits and the journal prompts and everything, but it's like, well, what happened after? Did you hit that workout and feel like you pushed yourself? Did you use that journal prompt to genuinely dive deep into yourself and unearth or tackle the things about yourself that you are not happy with, or the things that are putting you down, or the things that you want to change, right? Because one thing I'll say is that I think that it is completely okay to get inspiration from the things that we're seeing online, right? If you see a journal prompt that somebody else used that spoke to you, great, use it. If you feel like you want to try matcha and you can do a way better job than I can at making it taste like something other than grass, please do it. And please tell me how you did it so I can hopefully try it and not hate my guts afterwards. But what I want to say is that if you're taking other people's ideas of wellness and applying them to yourself, you better ensure that you are making those things work for you and that you are tailoring them to the changes that you want to see within yourself. Because if you are tailoring to the changes that those people are trying to make within themselves by using their step-by-step guideline and using their journal prompts and writing down the same bullet list that they did, it's like, How do you expect to find happiness from using somebody else's formula of how they are finding happiness? Because when you become reliant on other people's definitions of wellness and on other people's formulas for how to get quote unquote well, how do you expect to pull your own self out of a dark situation later? And how do you expect to convince yourself and to know within yourself that you are capable of creating your own happiness if you are consistently following somebody else's step by step guide as to how to do so? So, we need to emphasize and normalize the discomfort that comes with becoming the best version of yourself. We need to normalize the discomfort that it takes to go inwards and tackle the things that you don't like about yourself. That is wellness. Wellness is being able to get to a place in which you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am here today because I went through hell and back to tackle the things that I didn't like about myself, to change them, to embrace them, to love them, whatever that looks like for you. It is about saying, I am happy today because I created my own definition of happiness, applied it, got uncomfortable, and now I'm here. And I'm happy and I love myself for it, regardless of where I am on my journey, because that's another thing too, right? Wellness and self love and happiness isn't this one time you hit it once and you're good there for the rest of your life. It is very much about getting there, being there for a little bit, and not getting stuck into the mediocrity of it, right? Being happy isn't mediocre. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is that, if you take a period where you get really uncomfortable, you reach a goal that you were trying to get, great. Make another goal for yourself. Keep getting even better than you are today. That is self love at its core. It's saying, I am happy with who I am today, but I know I can be better. And again, I don't mean to come off as somebody who is telling you to like neglect everything else in your life to reach the state, or to tell you that everything that you've been doing up until now is invalid, because it's not, right? We all have to go through the journey of finding what this process is for us, but it's so individual. And if you're sitting at home right now and you're looking online and you're looking at what people are doing and what people are preaching as wellness, and you don't feel like it fits with your idea of wellness, you don't have to feel like you have to morph that your definition into what other people are saying. What you perceive to be good for you and what you perceive to make you better is what is unique to you and what you should be embracing about your journey towards wellness and towards self-love. You don't need to feel like you have to fit anybody else's definition of that in order to become well. You have a right to the things that make you happy, and you don't owe anybody an explanation as to why they make you happy, right? So let's normalize doing the work. Let's normalize how hard it is to do the work. Let's normalize not sharing everything online. Let's normalize not feeling the need to document everything that we are doing in our day that is part of our journey to wellness, so that other people can see it and know that we are, in fact, being well or doing well or practicing wellness, whatever that is, right? This journey is yours and your own to make. And if you get so caught up documenting it to prove to others that you are quote unquote well, or because somebody else told you this was the path to take in order to get well, or whatever that is, you are going to look back one day and not know who you are and realize that you never even really started. If the case is that you just followed the formula and didn't really put in what came with it, right? Because it's one thing to follow a formula and do what it's telling you to do, but it's another to take it and personalize it and say, okay, this is what people are calling wellness. Let me take inspiration from that and see how I can tailor it to my needs and to how I want to get better within myself. This journey is up and down, and it's going to require you to start over and over and over again and to readapt your way of being, your way of practicing wellness, your ways of doing, your ways of getting uncomfortable, whatever that looks like for you. And the more you can embrace that process, because it's a challenge, right? Every time we face an obstacle on this journey towards self betterment, it's an opportunity for us to be better. It is like when you can look at everything that is happening to you in your life as an opportunity to be better, whether it's small, whether it's big, that is, to me, that's wellness. I think. I think when you can romanticize the process of becoming your ideal self for its good times and the bad times and like the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, you are killing it, honestly. Like, I think that is such an important way to look at this journey as not just separate from everything else, but as something that is happening consistently every single minute of every single day. Every single minute of every single day, we have an opportunity to be better. And the journey towards self betterment is not just in the moments where we are journaling or the moments where we are reading a book or the moments in which we are meditating or working out. It is an all day, everyday thing. Like I mentioned already, it's a 24/7 full time job. And the more you can look at it as consistent opportunities that are appearing to you within your day that are challenging you to be better and to practice and put in place all of the things that you've been working on during your journaling, during your meditation, then you are on the right path and you're getting so much closer to where you want to be. So I want to end this episode off by giving one final note and to say that, if you are somebody who is on this journey right now, whether you're just starting, you're years into it, weeks into it, days into it, whatever that looks like for you right now, focus on romanticizing your journey and making it so personal and so unique to you and so enjoyable to you that you don't feel the need to copy anybody else's definition of what wellness is, because wellness is so individual to you that you're good with your definition of it. And if you are currently following and abiding by the that girl trend, I want to challenge you instead to focus on becoming your person instead of that girl. Because when you strive to become your person, it isn't this spot on the podium, this one time spot that you're going to reach after putting in X amount of hours of work. It is a permanent position that you are going to fulfill in life as long as you're alive. And if you can chase after becoming your person and in that person, somebody who is authentic and practicing integrity and somebody who is humble and kind to others and to yourself, among other qualities that you value. And if you can practice getting to a point in which you look at your person and you say, damn, I'm happy, I'm proud of the person that I have worked myself up to be, of the person that I have become today because of all the hard work that I've invested, it is going to feel damn much better than somebody looking you in the eye one day and saying, wow, you are that girl, right? Because what comes next after that, right? Are you going to keep subscribing to the common ideal of what wellness is? And are you going to keep aiming to get people to call you that girl? Or are you going to aim to be able to wake up every single morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am happy and require nobody else's approval or validation because I know the hours and hours of effort that I've put into becoming who I am today. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Perspective. This is MJ speaking, and thank you so much for coming back to tune into the podcast once again today.